Hello, I am K-pop World and welcome to my channel. Today we are going to be talking about all the drama that happened at the injunction hearing, because when I tell you it was dramatic, I mean it. This might just even turn into a rant, because when I tell you that there were tears, there were giggling in the corner, lies, reveals, I mean Ador brought the receipts. If you do go on to like this video, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe so I can keep making more videos just like this one. Now, firstly, I want to start off by saying that I appreciate the members for actually showing up to the injunction hearing, especially because they didn't have to. It does show that to some degree they are taking this very seriously, to some degree, because them coming out of the courtroom laughing after the injunction was over put a bit of a sour taste in people's mouths. I think considering the strategy that they're going with, it only made sense that they showed up in person, because their strategy seemed to be a very emotionally based strategy. We'll get to that when we talk about their final statements, because I gotta tell you, I agree with the people on the internet who are saying that these girls need to be evaluated ASAP, because those final statements about Minhajin are concerning. I don't want to lie, it is concerning. I also want to say I really do think that they should fire Sejong. Shin and Kim law firm, those lawyers need to be fired. I'm sorry. I understand their reasoning for having used Shin and Kim law firm for this litigation right now against Hybe and Ador. It made sense because Minhajin was already there, and because of the whole conspiracy, because that is what this is, it's a conspiracy. Shin and Kim had actually been working with them through Minhajin far before they even quit the company. So at the time it made sense, but seeing the transcript from the litigation, it doesn't seem like Shin and Kim is making them a priority, or it doesn't seem like they're giving 110%. Now, in my personal opinion, this could be because of one of two reasons, or maybe both. The first one being, I don't know how much New Jeans are paying Shin and Kim law firm, because they do seem like a very expensive law firm, but it could possibly be because they're not paying for like the top-notch lawyers, that they kind of getting like whatever we can give you type of attitude from Sejong. This is just my own speculation. And the second reason being that they know very well that they are clutching at straws and that they don't really have a case. So it's kind of like they are doing the most that they can, but there's only so much to do when you don't really have a case to work with in the first place. And honestly, the second reason is probably more viable than the first one. So let's start with the opening statement from Ador. Ador's opening statement was that the girls have no grounds for the termination of their exclusive contract. The reasons cited by New Jeans are unfounded and unrelated to the main contents of the contract. Now, this is pretty much what everybody's been saying, that a lot of the stuff that they're complaining about, a lot of the stuff that they're saying are breaches on Ador's side, do not actually coincide with a material breach of contract. A lot of the stuff really is just clutching at straws and things that have nothing to do with their contract. Things like bringing Minhajin back, that is not in their contract. The thing with Dolphin Kidnapping Group, that has nothing to do with their contract. Nowhere in their contract does it state that they absolutely have to work with this specific music video director or the group itself. Along with just about everything that was mentioned, even in the injunction hearing, Ador had a rebuttal for every single reason that New Jeans side brought up. They had an answer for everything. And I gotta tell you, the New Jeans side did not have answers for some very, very serious allegations, which is the tampering allegation and Hanni lying at the National Assembly about the whole ignore her situation, which we have to talk about, because afterwards Hanni went on Instagram to basically complain and say that Ador was lying. We'll get to that though. Let's get into the New Jeans opening statement. Their statement was that the core issue here is that Hybe and Ador continuously sidelined and ostracized the New Jeans, including replacing them with another group. Ador is now demanding that we remain under their control until the court rules on contract termination. This essentially forces us into a slave contract where we are bound to an agency that has already abandoned us. Honestly, their statement is a bit of a reach to say that they are being forced back into a slave contract, or going back to Ador means enduring a slave contract because they don't want to work with Ador. When you think about a slave contract, especially in K-pop, a lot of the times it just means you are working like a hamster on a wheel, just nonstop. You just keep that wheel turning and you just don't get paid for most of the work that you do. You are exhausted. You are basically collapsing on the stage, flying from schedule to schedule and getting paid practically pennies. That is usually what we describe to be a slave contract. It doesn't make sense for the members to say that they are being forced back into a slave contract by Ador, especially when they say that Ador has already abandoned them, which is ridiculous. And it also moves us to our second point. NewJeans said that Ador and Hybe discriminated against them and tried to replace them with another girl group, which we know to be It, which doesn't make sense logically. If Hybe had plans to replace NewJeans with a different group, they would make sure that that group debuted under Ador specifically so that if it did come down to ostracizing and replacing NewJeans, they would be a group that would be making money for a company under the Hybe umbrella. So it doesn't make sense for a group like It to replace NewJeans if they're going to debut in a company that is not Ador, because that leaves Ador bleeding cash, because then they have no income coming in except for maybe royalties from all the other NewJeans content. Now, before we get to the whole ignore her situation, something that I found very interesting that they brought up that they had never brought up before, but somebody else had brought this up, is a brand deal that was apparently supposed to go to Haein, but ended up going to Sserafim. Now, the NewJeans side stated that this ambassadorship deal was supposed to go to Haein, but instead Hybe used this opportunity as a chance to give the ambassadorship deal to Sserafim instead. So after the injunction hearing, Source Music put out a statement to clarify the situation by saying that Sserafim got the deal because Shakura had already been working with said brand, which we know to be Louis Vuitton. And through the brand satisfaction with Shakura, they ended up deciding to sponsor the rest of the group. Now, the crazy thing about this is something Min Hye-jin had actually brought up a long time ago, back when she was still prime feuding with Hybe. She brought this up in an email that she sent to the company, and she brought it up again in her first press conference, where she said that there was a deal that was stolen from them because of how the brand synergy team was working, and in the end, they had to work to try and get the deal back. Now, here's the thing. Unfortunately, we do not know who is telling the truth and who is lying. I'm not going to lie, I am inclined to believe both sides currently, because I do believe that Source Music got Sserafim the Louis Vuitton deal through Shakura. It makes sense, but I do think that Hybe may have pushed a little bit for them. But at the same time, it doesn't make sense that they would try to cut Haein off of the Louis Vuitton deal just to give it to Sserafim. And here's the thing, in the end, Haein did end up getting the Louis Vuitton deal anyways. She was officially announced as the ambassador of Louis Vuitton on the 30th of December 2022. Keep in mind, they only debuted on the 22nd of July 2022. Not to mention the pre-debut deal they already had with Chanel, which they very, very conveniently left out. They also conveniently left out that a lot of the controversy that they had when they debuted is that they had too many luxury brand deals. Fans couldn't understand how it is that such young girls or such a young group was getting so many luxury deals, especially because they were being marketed to a younger audience. But I digress. Right now, something that makes it really, really hard to believe in the NewJeans side is they brought up a lot of points and a lot of accusations of discrimination and Hybe trying to replace them with It and It copying them, all the plagiarism claims. They brought all of this stuff up, but they don't have any evidence to back up any of it. The whole thing with the brand deal with Louis Vuitton, they could have easily gotten a statement from anybody at Louis Vuitton to corroborate that yes, in fact, there was confusion over the brand deal with Haein and with Sserafim. But, then again, Louis Vuitton is currently working with J-Hope, so it's like, do they really want to pick a side here? And if they're gonna pick a side, do they really want to pick the NewJeans side? Like, let's keep it a buck. You could lose a NewJeans member, but are you really ready to lose J-Hope of BTS? Let's just weigh those options. You weigh those options and you let me know in the comments, because I could tell you right now, I will cut a NewJeans. I will cut anybody for J-Hope. I love how NewJeans' side very conveniently left out the fact that despite them accusing Hybe of discriminating against them, 5 of the members of NewJeans are with some of the top luxury clothing brands. We're talking about Dior, Chanel, Gucci, Louis Vuitton. Danielle moved from Burberry to Celine, which are 2 very big brands. Not only that, but the NewJeans members have actually seen more fashion weeks in Paris and Milan than some of their seniors. And I'm talking about Sserafim, I'm talking about TXT, I'm talking about Enhypen. Because Enhypen, TXT, and Sserafim have been to fashion weeks, but they've gone as a group. They've not gone solo. I looked it up, but they have not gone solo. So how does this constitute discrimination against them? I also looked up which other groups have solo luxury brand deals. I'm talking we're dripping with luxury. Sserafim is only with Louis Vuitton, Enhypen is only with Prada, and TXT is only with Dior. They do have other brands that are endorsing them as members solo-wise, but we're not talking about big clothing luxury brands. We're not talking about solo deals. We're talking about as a group, they have this deal. They also conveniently left out the fact that they were the face of Seoul Fashion Week for 3 years running. Another really important thing that was brought up as a reason why NewJeans should not go back to Hybe and Ador, they said that Hybe attempted to exclude NewJeans from the 4th generation girl groups, the top girl groups. Now we know this whole drama with the new R and the internal report, but here's the thing. The internal report was sent in 2023. This was before it got to the National Assembly, and this was when Min Hye-jin was very much comfortable in her CEO seat. This is before the audit even happens. If there were such plans from Hybe to exclude NewJeans or to attempt to ostracize them and cut them off completely, why did Min Hye-jin never bring this up as a topic of conversation? Why did she never bring it up to the executives and to the higher ups in Hybe? Another thing that Ador brought up is that in the months leading up to the National Assembly, Min Hye-jin had accessed the document a bunch of times, and it is said that she tampered with it and kind of edited it to look very bad before leaking it to the National Assembly, which is why the National Assembly had their hands on that internal document. Now, the strategies from both sides are very clear to see, and the NewJeans side strategy is very simple. Blame Hybe for discrimination and for mistreatment, and then blame Ador for not taking care of them and defending them against Hybe's discrimination and mistreatment. To me personally, it is actually a very smart strategy. The only problem is that NewJeans side does not have any evidence to back up any of their claims. Ador, on the other hand, their strategy is to prove that they did everything for NewJeans, everything from financial help to promoting them incredibly well and making sure that every resource at their disposal was given to NewJeans. This starting with Hybe investing 21 billion won, which is approximately $14.5 million into Ador in order for NewJeans to debut. Everything right down to the promotion and the marketing of NewJeans. This was an unprecedented amount for any group in Hybe. No other group had received this amount of investment ever. Now, here's the thing I don't understand. They received 21 billion won straight up the bat in order for them to debut. Now, it did come in 2 payments, but this was essentially for their debut. And they're still complaining over the fact that Sserafim debuted first. I don't get it. Here's the thing that I find kind of funny is when Sserafim debuted, a lot of people were looking at their music video and saying it's very cheap and very low budget, which it probably was. Source Music was trying to get the girl group out as fast as possible because they had Shakura and they had Chaewon. They didn't want that excitement to die down without them having debuted their group. Another reason is at this point, Source Music did not have any groups in the company. They had gotten rid of G-Friend, which, by the way, the worst mistake they ever made. Story for a different day. but they had no group. So the company was not making capital except maybe a little bit of income from royalties from G-Friend. So for the New Jeans members and for Minhajin to complain about how Sserafim debuted first in Hype and oh, we lost our trust, the second Sserafim debuted first because Hype promised it to us. What are you talking about? 21 billion won, 21 billion. I'm pretty sure Sserafim did not get a quarter of that. And they still want to complain about not having debuted first. Another thing Ador said was that they received a settlement of 5 billion won each. This is not a 5 billion that is going to be shared amongst the group. We are talking about each member received 5 billion won. Now, something that was really interesting that Ador brought up was that New Jeans also benefited from Hype, despite saying that Hype tried to push them out and Hype tried to replace them. They benefited very heavily from Hype, especially from their title BTS's Little Sisters, which Minhajin herself had requested, and Hype had actually given in to her request and given them the title. Another thing they also benefited from was being able to utilize the BTS members to film TikToks with them in order to promote their comebacks. This, along with other members of other groups in Hype, they got to do TikTok dances with them in order to promote their own music. It also helps that their music video was posted on the Hype YouTube channel, which has over 70 million followers. So right from the beginning, they were being pushed on a very big platform. Okay, now we need to talk about the Ignore Her situation because I had to turn into a detective to try and figure this whole mess out. So the incident happened on May 27th, which Hanni got wrong apparently at the National Assembly. She said that it happened on May the 28th, which is impossible because Al-It was not in the building on May 28th. Matter of fact, they were not even in the country on May 28th. So it happened on the 27th of May. On June the 13th, the New Jeans members raised the issue and B-Lift Lab reviewed the footage and saved only the part that had the interaction between New Jeans and Al-It. I think it's worth noting that they combed through a month's worth of footage in order to determine which day it was that they were talking about. And this was the only interaction within the month of footage that they had where Al-It and New Jeans had met. Now, on the 19th of June, the investigation results were shared with New Jeans. On the 27th of June, the original CCTV footage was deleted. And then on August 14, almost a month after the whole incident had happened, due to continued complaints, CCTV footage was reviewed again. But at this point, the CCTV footage, the original one, had already been deleted because its time had already lapsed. Now, Minhajin's side argued that the issue happened in the second encounter between New Jeans and Al-It. But unfortunately, we don't know if that is true or not because the original footage had already been deleted. Now, what vexes me about this whole situation is Minhajin waited until August, knowing very well that after a month, the footage would be deleted. So she knew if the incident happened on May the 27th, after 30 days, which was June the 27th, the video footage would be deleted. She had to have known that. And I feel like she purposely waited to bring up the matter, knowing that the footage would already be deleted and nobody could say which side was telling the truth. They were given the results on June the 19th. I don't understand if Minhajin's side or if Hanni or if anybody who reviewed the footage knew that the incident happened in an encounter after the 8 seconds that they had reviewed before. Why wouldn't they just say something then and there? Now, what the footage shows basically is Hanni was in the hallway with 2 other managers. I think they're managers or maybe bodyguards, which, by the way, she very conveniently left out. Unless the said managers in the footage left to go do something else, and that's when the members came out. But then again, she very conveniently forgot to mention that. She also very conveniently forgot to mention that Danielle was also around. I don't know if maybe in the second encounter Danielle was not around, but again, very conveniently forgot to mention that. In the footage that was obtained, that was saved, you do see Alid bowing to Hanni and bowing to Danielle as well. Now, in a shocking turn of events, it turns out we have the chats between Minhajin and Hanni talking about the whole incident. And in the chats, basically Hanni says she thought it was funny that something like that happened and that it wasn't a big deal. Basically, she said, look, I'm not bothered by it. It's whatever. I just thought it was funny. And it's actually Minhajin who keeps pressing her and pushing her to find out, like, did they greet you? Did they ignore you? Did the manager say it loud enough for you to hear? Did she say this exactly? And Hanni insisted that she didn't remember and she didn't know what the manager said. Yet somehow when she got to the National Assembly, she was sure of everything she said. So sure that she got the date of the incident wrong. And in her testimony at the National Assembly, she was sure that the manager looked right at her and told the other members of the group to ignore her. Now, if anything, this just shows that Hanni's testimony is very unreliable because firstly, she got the date of the incident wrong. And secondly, her texts don't match her attitude at the National Assembly. Now, getting the date wrong, I feel like we could look past because she could have been nervous. A lot was going on in that whole week before the National Assembly, and it had been very stressful for them. We get it. Maybe that's why she made a mistake and got the date wrong. It might also be because the night before her National Assembly appearance, she was spotted with Minhajin and a lawyer from a Sejong law firm. So possibly they plotted and concocted this whole scenario and this whole incident to make it seem and sound worse than it actually was. Maybe that's why she was tripping up on herself. She was lying. Maybe. Allegedly. So after the injunction hearing, Hanni went to Instagram to set the record straight with Hybe and Ador, and she posted this on her Instagram story. She said, I remember everything clearly. I wanted to say it in court earlier, but I held it in. How can you take one part of a conversation and shift the meaning of it to benefit your point of view when I was the one who wrote that message? Whilst you present yourself as a company that wants the best for us, please stop bothering me, Ador and Hybe. Oh gosh. I'm sorry. Is she trying to gaslight us? Is this what is going on? I don't understand. Are we being gaslit? Because I'll tell you this much. I do not appreciate being gaslit. She further went on to say, I have a lot to say, but I've been holding back simply because I don't see the need to have to escalate this issue any bigger than it already is. But if you think you have the audacity to make even more false assumptions about us than you already have, then I won't stay quiet. Ladies and gentlemen, I am afraid we are being gaslit because what the hell does she mean that she doesn't feel the need to escalate this issue any further than it already? Miss Thing, honey, you went to the National Assembly because of this one incident. You had a girl group dragged right through the mud because of this incident. We're already in space in terms of escalation. We've escalated to the moon. There's no other escalating it anymore than it's already escalated to the point of no return. I especially don't appreciate her saying that she held back in court. Like, what do you mean you held back in court? This is your moment to shine. This is the moment when you pull out all the tricks in the hat, all the tricks in the bag, all the tricks up the sleeves. All of the tricks need to come out and be on the table. This is when the evidence needed to come out. Here's what makes this whole situation even funnier. Ador and Hybe would not have these texts from Minhajin to Hanni and from Hanni to Minhajin if Minhajin herself had not submitted them as evidence when she had her case against Hybe, or one of the Hybe labels. I'm not really sure which one it is, but her side, Sejong law firm, along with her, are the ones that actually submitted these text messages, which is how Ador ended up getting their hands on said text messages. So this is really kind of funny almost because they really shot themselves in the foot with these text messages. Minhajin probably thought these would have been her saving grace, but my gosh, it threw the girls way off the cliff with this one. One thing about the text between Hanni and Minhajin and her whole Instagram post saying that Hybe and Ador misinterpreted the texts to benefit them, she can defend herself all she wants. That is well within her rights. And if she says that Hybe and Ador misinterpreted those chats, look, go ahead. I don't put it past them. But I have eyes and I can read. And once the translations were out for all of us to read, it is very clear that she did not seem bothered by the situation. If anything, Min Hye-jin was the one pressing her and pushing her for the kind of answers that she wanted in order for it to turn into a huge deal, which is exactly what Min Hye-jin got in the end, because it did turn into a very big deal. So whether or not Ador and Hybe misinterpreted the text messages so that they fit their narrative, I honestly don't care. I read what I read and I understood it the way I understood it. And the way I understood it was that she didn't care. It wasn't a big deal. And clearly she understood that there's a lot of tension between the L.I.T members and New Jeans, not because they don't like each other or because they have problems with each other, but because the media was making a very big deal out of the similarities between the two groups. Now, in the closing statements, both CEO Kim Ji-young and the members of New Jeans got to give closing statements, and this is what the CEO said. She said, "There is only one reason why I filed for an injunction. It is because I want to work with New Jeans. Ador members are working in their respective positions and waiting for New Jeans. Please give us a chance to support New Jeans members with all of our capacity and sincerity." Now, this was a very heartfelt closing statement from CEO Kim Ji-young. It seems it brought her to tears. She was emotional. And you look over to the other side of the room, and who is holding in giggles and laughs? None other than the New Jeans members, allegedly. Allegedly. It seems that they were seen giggling under their breaths or holding in laughs when CEO Kim Ji-young was giving her statement. I'm not gonna lie, I am happy that she cried. Hear me out. Whether the tears were real or fake, I'm still glad that she let out a tear or two. Because when we first saw her at the National Assembly, I just felt like she was too intimidating. She was too strict. So everything that Hanni was saying, especially because Hanni is so much younger than her, the way that New Jeans is portrayed in their music video, in their content, is they're very sweet, very fragile little girls. They could do no wrong. So when you look on the other side and you saw CEO Kim Ji-young with her glasses, the hair, her eyes, she's super intimidating. So it's kind of like, I don't know, I'm inclined to believe the little girl who is crying on the other side. No offense to CEO Kim. Maybe she's great. I don't know. But I am glad that she cried because it does show a sense of sincerity and a vulnerable side to her. So it does show that to some degree, she's not just a robot who is working on following Hybe's every command and order. Because let's keep in mind, she is going up against 5 little girls who can cry at the drop of a hat. And cry they did. Now, these are the New Jeans members' closing statement. Haerin said, "I signed with Ador. Ador should have protected its artists to the best of its ability. CEO Min Hye-jin did her best to protect us, but Hybe attacked her and even fired her. I can't understand why they split us up." Danielle went on to say, "The members include the CEO. Right now, one of the members is injured. I was so scared that I would lose the CEO. We are a team of 5, but in reality, we are a team of 6. I want to be with the CEO in any way possible." Now, obviously, we know CEO, she's referring to Min Hye-jin. Hain stated that in the current Ador, my future as a human being seems bleak and dark. I cannot remain in Ador, which took away the future I was happily drawing with the CEO without justifiable reason, and approach the public with insincere work that are not the sincere work we created with CEO Min Hye-jin. Now, this is 3 out of 5 members giving very heartfelt speeches about Min Hye-jin and how much they love her and how she's still their CEO in their hearts. So cute. Here comes Hanni with a very, very strong statement. She said, "I think Hybe is acting out of fear of us. I think they are blocking us with the injunction because they are afraid of our success. They say in front of us, 'I want to work with you,' but behind our backs, they are interfering with us. I can't believe it. I felt strongly that Hybe had no respect for us from the beginning. Ador is currently filled with Hybe people like that, and I can't work with people I don't trust." Minji also came in with a very strong statement. She said, "We have been discriminated against continuously. Hybe has been indiscriminately attacking us to the point where we wonder, are we really artists under their label? We decided to terminate our contracts because we felt we could no longer work with Ador, which has been harassing us rather than protecting us. I hope the judge will understand our feelings." Now, Danielle got a second chance to speak, and she basically stated that no matter what happens in the injunction hearing or in the validity case, she stated that they would not be going back to Ador under any circumstances and that they wanted to be with Minhejin. Now, if this does not jump out at you as concerning, I don't know what concerning would look like for you. The girls are clearly ready to throw away their future for a chance to be with Minhejin. This was one of the things that I found odd in terms of Sejong's strategy for the girls. Why would Sejong allow the girls to make these kinds of closing statements at an injunction hearing? I get that if they are trying to tug at the judge's heartstrings, if they're trying to make an emotional appeal, maybe this would work. But the main point of the injunction hearing is to prove to the judge that you should be allowed to go on with your activities because of the reasons why you believe that your contract with Ador is terminated. So why is it that they're making all these heartfelt speeches about wanting to be with Minhejin and not wanting to go back to Hybe or Ador? Them not wanting to go back to Hybe and Ador does not prove a material breach on Ador's side, and it does not prove that their contracts are terminated due to their unilateral termination. You know, honestly, I had a bit of hope that maybe they really did have evidence on their side that could help them in any kind of way to try and get out of their contract with Ador. But after seeing the injunction hearing and after hearing everything, I am probably more sure now than I ever have been that they really do not have anything on their side to prove a material breach on Ador's side. So this really is going to be an uphill battle for them. Honestly, good luck, New Jeans, NJZ, whatever you want to call yourselves. I don't think it's going to work out, but if they think it's going to work out and if they want to keep fighting this, go ahead. Because it really does feel like Hybe is okay with draining them of any capital they have. This whole injunction that Hybe is trying to put on them or that Ador is trying to put on them is extensive. Like, we went from an advertising injunction to like an everything injunction. We're talking they cannot perform, they cannot sing songs, they cannot even compose songs, they cannot do advertising, they cannot do anything. Hybe and Ador are trying to make sure that they cut them off of any independent contract that they could sign and any independent capital that they could make. This in turn would make it very difficult for them to have a very lengthy legal battle, which Hybe has the money for that. Ador has the money for a long legal battle. And if that's what it's going to take for New Jeans to come right, Hybe is not scared to go the extra mile to see that happen. Something about Hybe that I've noticed over the years is that they're really not afraid of being the bad guy. If anything, everybody sees them as the bad guy. They're the company that's ruining K-pop in people's eyes. So they don't care about having a very lengthy legal battle that could possibly cut the girls off from making any sort of money outside of Ador. When I first heard about the extension of the injunction, I thought it was a bad idea because I thought this is really terrible on Hybe and Ador's side, because why would they cut them off of everything music, which is basically their job? It does sort of violate their rights. But then you hear Hybe and Ador break it down and say, look, they can make all the music they want to make. They could perform all they want to perform. They compose all the music they want to make. As long as they do it under Ador, we're totally cool with it. And I'm like, this is insane. This is insane. But if you think about it, a judge is going to look at this like, technically they're giving you a way in, out, out, in. You just got to take the olive branch, even though it's pretty much dead at this point. I honestly feel like New Jeans and Ador have reached a point of no return. There is no way that the girls are going back to the company. That is for certain. And if they do go back, it really is not going to be great, because they basically just threw everybody under the bus. They threw Sserafim under the bus. They threw Alt under the bus. They threw a bunch of employees under the bus. They basically just said, especially with the Ador employees, they just said, you guys are Hybe people. We don't trust you. We don't like you. You guys hate us. We don't deal with high people. Hey, no way. No, anybody who's a high people's, we're not with you. How do you go back to that? There's no way they're going to step foot in the high building. I think at this point, as soon as the validity lawsuit is over, I think Ador and Hype should sit down with New Jeans, their parents, and their lawyers and discuss a settlement payment, because at this point, the girls might as well just figure out how much it will take to get them out of their contracts with Ador, because there's no other way they're getting out of those contracts. But then again, those are just my opinions, and you are free to share yours with me in the comment section. Be sure to hit the like button if you like this video and subscribe so I can keep making more videos just like this one. Until our next dance with K-pop, goodbye.